Right then, with parts of my argument suitably demolished, I'll move on to Ascari.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, members of the opposition, members of the audience, and the internet. Today I will be speaking to you on the motion that humans are bad by nature. There are a few points which I would like to raise to you about this topic. I hope you enjoy it and don't drift off during the speech. I'll raise various points from road conflicts, issues caused by humans which are affecting us today, and how richer countries in the world are basically keeping the poorer countries poor as their leaders do not supply enough materials to solve this problem for them. Firstly, I will be talking about the various wars that humans have caused. There have been too many wars over the course of history, from medieval wars to the American and Irish wars of independence and civil wars, the Napoleonic Wars, the 30-Year War, the Road Wars, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan, as well as some more distant conflicts in places such as sub-Saharan Africa. Throughout human history, there has been 150 million to 1 billion deaths from military and civilian personnel. In the 20th century alone, there is 108 million deaths, which would include a far higher number of civilians, due to the night bomber raids, which focused on carpet bombing cities in Europe and Japan during World War II, similar to the Rolling Thunder campaign in North Vietnam. One of the more dangerous cases that has arisen during wars is the use of chemical weapons on opposing forces. World War I is the best known case of such weapons, with gases such as chlorine, phosgene, mustard, and tear gas, all of which are lethal agents and are a more painful way to fight such a conflict. Similarly, the atomic bomb used uranium-235 and killed up to 80 to 100,000 civilians, and spread radioactive material, including gases, around the area, which caused many illnesses ranging from leukemia to radiation poisoning. These weapons were described as cruel bombs by the Japanese, proving that humans are cruel by nature. My point being is that I believe humans are bad by nature, and the fact that we would go to war just because one nation lost the previous war, which to this day is still uncertain as to why that started. If humans were not bad by nature, then there would be no need for any wars or weapons development or research, or to have a military force for much else other than relief after natural events, such as floods, as these would still need to be dealt with. If humans were not bad by nature, it would be likely that these wars would not even have needed to start, since quite a lot of them are for very small reasons and are mostly just some excuse made by the government rather than any strategic point to the conflict. Excluding World War II after it started, however, since there was definitely strategic reasons for that. If humans were good by nature, then we would have had world peace for far longer than the 268 years which we have currently been at peace in, out of 3,400 years, which amounts to only 8% of human history. Secondly, I would like to raise the fact that there is still mass poverty in less well economically developed countries such as sub-Saharan Africa, parts of India, Central America, and others. I believe that humans are bad by nature because we have the power to resolve this issue, educate the populations of these countries, stop the multiple ongoing conflicts and illegal activities which are happening in these areas, such as Somalian pirates, which involves itself more with my first point. It would also be possible for the more economically developed countries to provide enough aid, housing, education, and services to these countries, allowing them to set themselves up and break out of eternal poverty, which they are currently in, without much of a way out. We do supply some aid to these areas currently, but it is not enough and we could be doing more. If we were good by nature, then we would fix this issue without much thought. Finally, I would like to raise the point that humans have done nothing but make the problem of habitat loss, mass extinction of species, and pollution, which is tied to climate change since the Industrial Revolution worse. It is simply a case that humans are too stubborn to find alternative ways of leading our lives and don't realize that we need to maintain the habitats of other animals and help them to recover other than continuing to clear space for rather wasteful activities, which are not sustainable and are rather unintelligent. This is continued because the humans which are conducting the activities are too dumb to stop doing it, and because it has most likely been made some sort of tradition, it will be hard to break. Another example of why humans are bad by nature and for nature. To conclude, I believe that humans are bad by nature. This is predominantly since we have only been at peace for 8% of human history and have killed billions of people in the time we have been at war, including war crimes. This is not limited to humans, however, but also applies to the mass extinction of species, which is a human-caused problem, along with climate change. If humans were not bad by nature, this wouldn't have happened to such an extent to solve. The humans in the more economically developed countries are not providing enough in the general to help bring the others poor and supply them with the resources they need for their own interests. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Ascari. Very well examples. Firstly, Muttley, whenever you're ready.
Right. Hiya. I was listened to your debate there, and I think that your speech entirely overlooks the aspect of collaboration and the aspect of learning. Humans have an ability to do a lot of bad, as you're saying with war, but they also have the ability to do a lot of good, like the likes of creating the European Union, um, and sending aid overseas and such, and learning from our mistakes to kind of not bomb people. So I'd like to know why you didn't address the aspect of collaboration. As a social species, it's incredibly important to us.
I thought of like aid going to Africa, but I didn't really think of the EU since that kind of came after. Yeah, no, about the EU, that I just didn't think of that really. And for collaboration and learning, that was more the African point, because the more economically developed countries have enough resources to send that to Africa to let them learn and then to self-sustain. Whereas we're not doing it, but we could be doing it. And as for the EU, yeah, that's a good example of it.
Thank you very much, Ascari. Crimson.
When you were saying how we humans are evil by nature because there's so much aid that could be done but isn't done, I believe you failed to see that there is a great deal of aid that is done, but there is the very small percentage of people using the disguise of aid to do bad things. So people not en masse, countrywide, all chipping in to all of these foundations to help all of these second world or third world countries. I don't. Do you think that means that all humans have badness in them, or all humans have a well-earned mistrust? But the fact that so many foundations exist and so many of them do go out and teach people to be self-reliant and get people out of bad situations means that there is still an innate goodness that we want to achieve, despite the cons that unfortunately have discouraged the masses on large.
Yeah, there's no doubt that there is good going on, but again, it's just that I think that the country as a whole could do like enough to stop the problem entirely, whereas now it's just like there's not enough going over there.
This is from Anita, official Anita. Do you think that taking war, where it's a large population of ideas, opinions, and power, is a fair comparison to a single being and their own ideas and nature? Since the question is if humans are good or bad by nature, not artificial influence like mob mentality or environment.
Well, not really, since World War One just started off possibly due to an assassination, and then their whole armies fighting each other. And it's the same with like what happened in Germany leading up to World War Two. That's not just one person doing it.
I would really like to chip in on this point, Ascari, as someone who loves history. A lot of
Would
your
you like to
examples.
know about a
No,
certain
no,
thing?
no, I would not. A lot of your points have come from the modern era, particularly things like cruel warfare and the cruel bomb, World War One, World War Two. Do you not think the fact that the concentration of these mass cruelties in the 20th century is in fact proof that it's nothing to do with human nature, but a particular juncture in history of industrialization and nationalism that has enabled these horrors? It's to do with the systems that grew up in that particular time and nothing to do with human nature.
I don't see how, because it's still humans doing it.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on to our next question. Jackal.
I'd just like to correct something that you got wrong. You mentioned us not giving support to countries in Africa, enough support in countries to Africa. Well, it's because due to cultural reasons, some of the countries are actually choosing to reject support given to them, or any support they do receive, they just have treated like garbage in the past, which has made it a waste of both taxpayers' money and time to help them out, since they don't want to help themselves
So what,
get
what
out
what's
their own problem.
what is this a question or just something you want to say, Jackal?
Just something I wanted to say.
All right, fair enough. All right then, but let's get on with the vote then. No more abstentions. Let's see what you think. Oh wow. Okay, so that's quite conclusive then. The people here conclude that humans are not bad by nature. Next week we will be discussing whether or not celebrities make for bad role models. Are celebrities bad role models or are they not? I believe that's the end of formal proceedings.